Hi, I'm Dr. Buck Weaver. I'm the director and neuropsychologist at the Weaver Center. And we've been in practice as a group practice for almost 3 decades, focused almost entirely on school-related difficulties, attention, organization, learning, social, emotional, behavioral, for children, adolescents, and adults. And we are very strength oriented. It's one of the things that we do that is finding harder and harder for clinicians to do the evaluations and focus as much on strengths as we do. And so it's one of the things that, that has even made it hard to be collecting insurance, because insurance companies don't generally cover for all the time it takes to evaluate strengths. They're focused mostly, of course, on diagnosis and difficulties. So I thought I would, as many people have asked, give us some examples of the kind of work you do that might be a little different than anybody else. In our case, we think it's a lot different. But I was talking to a family, parents. I usually meet with a child. In this case, it was a fourth grader and his parents. And we talked about the strengths and difficulties and so on and so forth. He had an evaluation, and the evaluation said that he had some really good thinking strengths, and he really understood things and had some intuition and really could understand the bigger picture, but had a lot of trouble with the details, and certainly a lot of trouble with, with auditory processing and being very, very sensitive to hearing, touch, and things that are bright and loud and so on and so forth. So when we finished the evaluation, and he had already had an IEP, and we were just talking about the kinds of ways that we could use this information, and I was just going through the accommodations on his plan. And when we came across the accommodations, one of the accommodations is that he could take his tests, instead of in class, in a quiet environment. And he said, "Oh, I can? I really can? Because one of the problems I have is I never finish tests. And it's fairly hard for me to understand all of the instructions and what we're getting in class. I mean, it's just hard for me to," the way he was saying it, "filter things out because of his distractibility and his auditory sensitivity." So the first thing he said is, "Listen, can I have like 10 copies of this?" His parents are going, "Whoa," But I said, "Sure, let's have a couple of copies. And how might you bring this up with your teacher?" And he said, "First, well, I'd really like to have my parents talk to the teacher, because, they always do that kind of thing for me." I said, "Well, listen, maybe this is something, have you ever heard of the term self-advocacy? Because we believe in this big time, self-advocacy. The more you can advocate for yourself, the less you'll need services, because you can take care of the kinds of needs that you have by asking if you're comfortable with it." So we did a little bit of role playing and how he would approach the teacher and when he would approach the teacher, and knowing that when you advocate, it's not always the first time that it takes. You just step away and say, "Well, let's think about this," and gave him some strategies about self-advocacy, which we do a lot of development and have the self-advocacy program here. So he came back the very next week after this conversation, and he said, "It was really amazing. I talked with the teacher about the fact that I really couldn't finish things in the classroom because of all of the noise and how hard it is for me to block that out." She, a very nice lady, and didn't realize his difficulties at all until he advocated for himself. And then she did what's the kind of common teacher approach to kids. She just had everybody else who had finished their tests put their heads down to be quiet, while he and maybe some others could finish. And if he hadn't finished, she worked out with him that she would give him the test at another time in another place. And he was really excited about this, because he wanted to do well. He knew he wasn't doing as well. He sometimes even finished the tests and didn't do earlier items, so she didn't know, what his difficulties were. And this gave him such empowerment to be able to ask questions, to be able to advocate for himself, to see the success. And again, in a very short week, with a little bit of practice and help after the feedback from testing, he was eager to find out other things that he might be able to advocate for and how to advocate for them sensibly. Some kids over-advocate, it's a problem. Some kids, most kids don't advocate at all. And so to have a real good sense, and I'll talk about our self-advocacy program in another video, but that this was really a terrific experience for this young lad. And it's the kind of experiences that we have a lot. We often say to parents and to kids that, if you don't get something really important out of every time that you come to the Weaver Center, let somebody know, because our intention is to give you strategies and thinking through things, even if it's emotional. Often it is. There's a lot of kids with anxiety out there because of these difficulties. So anyway, if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to email me at rweaver@weavercenter.org, or check out our website and the other YouTube videos that we have. And I'd love to get any questions that you might have, because those are always among the best things to do videotapes on. So thanks very much. I really appreciate it. I've had a great time doing this, and a lot of that's because of the great feedback that you've all given me. Thanks so much.